Close with Colin Thompson is brought to you by Windows Group of Companies. Why go anywhere else?
Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Up Close with yours truly, Colin Thompson, featuring yet another one of our legendary sportsmen, namely Mr. Darrell. Mr. Darrell, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Colin. Nice to see you.
Great shirt. I really admire that shirt. Thought I'd get that off my chest.
Thank you.
No, but Mr. Darrell, obviously one of our legendary footballers in your own right, an extraordinary career, not only made a name for yourself here, but also abroad playing professionally. Mm-hmm. I guess we can perhaps, let's start from the pinnacle of your career.
Okay.
Who did you represent professionally?
Well, the team I played with initially was the Montreal Olympics. That was in 1972 and 73. And the way I got there was through, if you remember, our national coach during the late 60s, mid-60s, was Graham Adams. And he moved to Canada. I was coaching the Montreal Olympic team, not the Olympics is the name of the team. And he had a couple of other Bermudians there. Sam Newsom was there, Richard Simmons, and Mustafa Abedi. He's Moroccan, but he lived here in Bermuda and played for Hotels International. So the three of them were there. And he needed because the team was basically made up of young or older English players who would normally have to leave in time to be back in England for the pre-season. So he needed a couple of players to see him through to the end of the season. So he called me, wondered if I was interested, and I said, absolutely. So I went up in, I guess it must have been in May, June, because it was during the summer season, and spent 2 seasons there. Their team folded, and I was put in the expansion draft. I was picked up by the Washington Diplomats. And that's where I spent the bulk of my career from 74 until 80.
So the Montreal Olympic, which league did they play in?
This is the North American Soccer League. Yeah, they're in the same league.
And the Washington Diplomats.
Same league, yeah.
Wow. So going over there must have been a seamless transition for you because you knew Mr. Adams, the former national coach, who was also influential in getting Mr. Best, Clyde Best over there in the UK. And then you mentioned Richard Dirt Simmons.
Right.
And Sam the Cat Newsom.
Yes, yeah. It was. It was pretty comfortable, but still a little bit intimidated because it was professional and thrown in amongst professional players. And I had a high regard for professional athletes and footballers in particular. And I was kind of a little bit intimidated until you got in. They made me feel very comfortable. And you get to realize that they're professional because they were doing it full time and getting paid. And I'm now in the same position. There was nothing much that they could do that I couldn't do, So it was pretty seamless. I fit in pretty quickly and settled in. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Wow. And what position you were playing?
Played in midfield. Obviously, Graham, I must have made an impression on Graham while he was here. I was always in the national team the whole time he was here. He was the coach that took us to the Pan Am Games in '67. And I guess from my association, no question with my association with him, and the fact that I was a pretty decent player, honest player, that he didn't hesitate to ask me to join him when he needed a player. So, and it was a good experience. One of the things I liked about playing over there was that every game you're playing against somebody that you don't know, and you have to pitch your skills and determination against them. Here you know everybody. You're playing against the same people basically week in and week out. So that was a new challenge that I really enjoyed. Yeah.
Wow. So you played in the midfield. Were you attacking midfield? Or
attacking midfield. Pretty much the same role that I had here in the club teams that I played for here. We were talking earlier about some of the Liverpool players. One of the players that was a part of that Montreal Olympic team was actually Graham Souness. He was at that point he was with Tottenham Hotspurs as an apprentice or a reserve. And this is what Graham had a connection with the clubs over there that would send their younger players over for some exposure, and then they'd return for the preseason and the English season. So,
wow,
yeah.
But of course, he wasn't established.
Not at that point.
At that point.
Yeah, he went back, and I think he went to Middlesbrough, and then from Middlesbrough, then he went on to Liverpool, and the rest is history. You know, he's an outstanding player. Even then, you could see he has some special qualities. You know?
I was going to ask, could you see any,
Yeah,
catch
yeah.
in it?
Quite. What surprised me is that he's a bit more of a smooth, easy kind of going player, and he got the reputation as being a real hard player. You know, and that surprised me because I didn't see any of that when we were together in Montreal, but. It definitely worked for him. That was a part of his character as he developed.
Wow. So what was it like as far as adapting to the climate? You did say it was summer, so
yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't in the winter.
No.
Up north.
It was more, probably more about getting to know the players that you were joining, all new players. You know, some of them didn't speak much English, and most all of them have been professional for years. They were kind of somewhere on their kind of way out of the game, and others were just coming into the game. So I mean, football is football. You know, it's basically one language. And we all got along well, and I learned a lot. And I must have proved Graham right because they invited me back for the second year.
Mm-hmm. And how about your teammates, Sam? And Darrell, how did they adapt?
I mean, they were kind of already established by the time I got there. You know, Graham, Sam was a terrific keeper, a wonderful person as well. Richard, the character that he is, he makes his way anywhere. He ended up playing in, I think at one point he actually ended up playing at fullback, which is never, I think Richard Simmons has been a defender, you know, but he was able to adapt and do what was required. And they both had established, had good careers the short time that they were there. Yeah.
Any particular matches stand out for either of the clubs you
For me, probably not so much. In Washington, there were a few. The first time I played, the very first game, we played at RFK Stadium, and I can remember prior to that match, driving into the stadium for the first time. It was at RFK, the big stadium where the Redskins play. I was saying, look at this thing, it's amazing. This little fella from St. George's is playing at this wonderful stadium. So my first game was a real interesting experience. And then I would think after that it would be, we were playing against the Cosmos, New York Cosmos. We were in the same division, it was a rivalry. And one of the goals of the club was to sell RFK Stadium out for a game. And I remember we coming into the stadium and going into the change room, and the club president, Mr. Steve Danzensky, said, Gary, we've done it. I said, what do you mean we've done it? We've sold the stadium out. And I couldn't believe it. 55,000 people. When I had a look and the stadium was full, I recall some personal friends of mine that came to all of our games, came to the game late, and when they told me we couldn't get in because they're sold out, he laughed. You're joking, right? Because we were averaging about 15,000, 20,000 normally. And for this game, there was like 55,000 people, and it was sold out. That was just one of the many goals that they had set to achieve in Washington. Yeah.
Bermuda's population, pretty much.
Yeah. Sure.
In one stadium.
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of puts it all in context, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. So any that was a memorable occasion.
Yeah.
Any others? Any game you really the authority on?
Well, there was one. I was actually surprised being named the Player of the Week, and didn't know it until they were introduced. Because every game they introduced the team. Each player runs out one at a time. And we were playing it at RFK, and they said, the Player of the Week, Gary Darrell. And didn't realize it was me because the previous game we played against the San Jose Earthquakes. And I scored a hat trick. I scored 3 goals. And
wow.
And came home just expecting it to be a normal thing. And then I found out that I'd been nominated to be the Player of the Week. So that was a standout. That was really, really a memorable game.
Wow, yeah. Huge honor. But don't go away. We're going to be right back. First, we're going to be right back with some more from local football legend, Mr. Gary Darrell.
This edition of Up Close with Colin Thompson is brought to you by Lindo's Group of Companies. Why go anywhere else?